This is the infinity symbol. Everyone knows this symbol and has even the vaguest idea of what it represents. But the amount of knowledge we can extract from this concept is simply amazing. The symbol we use for infinity has a name, lemniscate. A little while ago, we know which it lemniscata comes from Latin, and the concept of infinity is the most diverse philosophical concepts ever explored by mankind. The idea of infinity, something bigger than anything, can invoke all kinds of emotions. Some people feel absorbed by the concept, kind of feeling small and irrelevant. Even more so when the contrast between something infinite and our day-to-day reality of scarcity becomes more evident. Some other people may feel inspired by being able to reflect exploring something so enormous with their own limited minds. The idea of infinity inspired many reflections about the nature of the world and the human mind, and today we are going to look for infinity in our real world. Is there something infinite in the world? And to guide our search a little bit, we are going to revisit the ancient Greek Aristoteles separated infinite in two categories: infinites in potential and realized infinites. There are things that are potentially infinite, like counting. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In theory, I could never stop counting, but in practice, I'm going to have to stop counting at some point. I can't count numbers infinitely because I have more things to do in life. This is the infinity in potential. The other version of infinity is the realized infinity, that is the version of infinity that comes from ideas, and it is structured in the world in all its greatness. Aristotle did not believe that there really was something infinite in the world, only potentially infinite things. But our worldview is drastically different from that of the Greeks. So let's try to answer this question that was originated in this video in a slightly more modern-day view. Does infinity exist in our universe? A good place to start looking for our answer is in the time. But we don't stop much to think about the complete extension of time. Currently, there is nothing in physics that tells us that time will one day end. The universe will continue to expand and evolve for an infinite amount of time. Trillions and trillions of years from now, there will not be anything but low-energy radiation. But everything indicates that time will continue to pass 1 second at a time. But even so, the infinite time that we are going to have in the infinite future realized is just something potentially infinite. Even if humanity somehow manages to stay alive until the heat death of the universe arrives, no human being will experience the infinitesimal second of time. There will probably be human beings very far into the future, but none of them will actually be at infinity. So another possibility is to reverse the direction of our clock and look for the infinity in the past. Our best scientific knowledge attributes to the beginning of the universe, and consequently of the time, to an event that happened about 13.8 billion years ago and started the Big Bang. But there are models of the universe that try to explain what happened before that, including cyclic universe theories in which our Big Bang was just one of several in these models that exists in an eternal cycle of starting to end if that is the case. So here we're going to find our first infinity realized, a true infinity. There are two ways for this infinity to express itself. The first is that the universe actually exists in a cycle of beginning, end, and restart. If that's the case, there are infinite universes that came before ours. Otherwise, we are already infinite seconds into the future. This is an infinite realized because it's been infinite seconds, infinite universes. And the second way that cycles of the universe repeat, for example, could be that there are only 12 possible stories of the universe that repeat again and again. If that's the case, there are only 12 universes in the cycle, but each of them repeats itself infinitely. We are part of the universe that is infinitesimal. You are the infinitesimal version of yourself, and here is another possible infinite realized. We do not know the final destination, the beginning of our universe. We are not sure of these infinities, but they are completely possible as far as we know. And the same is true to the extension of our universe. The space of the universe maybe is infinite, that we can observe with approximately 100 billion of light years across. But the limit of our vision is not the limit of space. Maybe there's more universe out there. If that's the case, there could be infinite. There could be infinite universes, galaxies, stars, planets, who knows? Even infinite intelligent civilizations, most of which will never even meet because even in an infinite universe, the speed of light is finite, and it is impossible to get out of your bubble, in that infinite space. Maybe infinity hides in the tiny. If space is perfectly continuous like the mathematical line between 0 and 1, then there are infinitely many possible positions in space a particle can be 10 centimeters from my hand, or 10.01 centimeters from my hand, or even 10,001 centimeters, or any different possibilities. And this infinity literally fits between my hands, and there are infinite points of space between my hands. The same question holds for time. If time is continuous and smooth, then there are infinite moments in time. Every second you've gone through infinite instants. But if that's not the case and time and space aren't infinite, maybe they're like a graph sheet or pixel on a screen. Maybe there are smaller ones size in space and the smallest fraction of time possible. If this is true, then there are an enormous number of points between my hands, but there is not infinity. There is also an limit numbers and finity moments each second. If space is really perfectly continuous, and one point of space has perfectly zero volume it takes, another possible infinity hidden from in black holes, behind the event horizon from which neither light nor matter escape. According to the traditional relativity from Einstein, the formation of a black hole fulfills a large amount of matter at a point of zero volume and infinite density, something called a singularity. The usual interpretation of the singularity that represents the point oft which Einstein's general relativity fails. The idea is that from a distance small, quantum effects of gravity need to be taken into this small distance, and this small distance is the length of Planck. From the length of Planck, the quantum gravity would prevent the formation of this infinite density, becoming repulsive somehow. In general, physicists don't like infinities in the real world. But if space is really continuous, and there was no minimum length, the singularity could very well be infinite. After all, if there are infinite points in every millimeter of space, so why infinite density would be more strange? And even in disagreement with these infinities in space, that several theories of quantum gravity makes a space quantized. In other words, they postulate that there is a minimum length for space. The quantum space would be made of pixels according to most theories of quantum gravity. But we still don't know if this is indeed the case. And that leads us to the last place for infinity, at least potentially the most impotential place, even than the palm of your hand. Maybe infinity is in your mind, and I don't just say that about the abstract concept of infinity. Maybe there are infinite possible different thoughts. Therefore, the humanity can exist for every conceivable future, and never think of all the thoughts that can exist. Think about it. There is a very curious thought experiment to argue that there are infinitely thoughts. Think about something. Now, it doesn't matter what you thought, what is possible to construct a new thought. All you have to do this is think. What you thought it will be a second thought different from the first you thought. And you can repeat the process thinking about having thought what you thought. You have literally created an endless chain of different thoughts from a single thought. So the human mind, maybe it is a least infinite potential. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to help the channel to reach the infinite realized, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and see you next time.